This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Good morning. Time now is 4:27 on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. We have continuing coverage this morning as communities across central Indiana continue cleaning up from those Memorial Day storms that moved through.
Yeah, we obviously saw those tornadoes that hit Pendleton. We also saw storms that hit Grant County. That is where an EF2 tornado touched down. 4 homes there were destroyed in Grant County. And this all happened as the U.S. tied its record of 11 consecutive days with at least 8 tornadoes per day. The last time this happened was June of 1980, just to tell you how rare it is. So we are going to continue following up. We're going to let you know how you can help those in these communities who are picking up the pieces now after that storm. We're going to take a turn now and get a check of the weather with Alyssa. Thankfully, yesterday was fairly calm, which was extremely helpful in that cleanup process.
That's right. They had a lot of sunshine so that people could get a lot of stuff done in terms of cleanup out there. I know they were working very hard to get the power back on in some of those communities. And today we do have another threat of some severe weather coming through. And it looks like it's really going to be for the first half of the day. And then we'll see a lull period in the afternoon and then more chances possible overnight. And you can see we're already starting to see some of those storms moving into the Lafayette area. We are seeing some lightning with that system. We have the possibility of some damaging winds as well as hail, possibly an isolated tornado as this system moves through. So we are under that slight risk of severe weather today. Looks like the best chance for some of those stronger storms are going to be right now until about 2 p.m.
Okay, Alyssa, thank you.
And also today we are continuing our coverage monitoring the situation in Noblesville. There was a threat made against Noblesville West Middle School on social media, and there will be extra security there at that school once again today.
The school is also asking that students leave large bags or backpacks at home just as a safety precaution. We'll also hear from a parent about the impacts that shooting had a little more than 1 year ago on students, the impacts it's still having. This social media threat obviously not helping the situation whatsoever, so we'll continue to follow that. And finally, it's hard to believe tomorrow we turn 70. RTV6 has been on the air since May 30th, 1949. And today we're going to sit down with Dionne Willis again. She's going to talk about a story that had a very profound effect on her, something that she still remembers to this day. So we'll have that plus more news, weather, and traffic here to start your midweek off right on Good Morning Indiana.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Cleanup from tornadoes across the Hoosier State will take days. New this morning why the storms here in Indiana are part of a record-setting outbreak.
Plus, a 12-year-old dies from apparent abuse involving a shock collar and restraints. While investigators say it's one of the worst cases of abuse they've ever seen.
And neighbors in an Indianapolis community say speeding drivers are putting their lives at risk. Working for you, we're looking into what can be done to put the brakes on those fast drivers. It's 4:30 on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for starting your day with us. I'm Meredith Barrick.
And I'm Nicole Griffin. Elena Martella will be keeping a close eye on your morning commute, but we want to turn first to Alyssa Donovan. Alyssa, stepping out the door, it's already very humid outside.
Very humid, very warm this morning. We're only going to see those temperatures climb a few degrees as we head through the day. So we are going to stay pretty stagnant with those temperatures, and it is muggy outside to start. Now that's really setting up for some convection in the atmosphere. So we do have the potential of some storms moving through as we head through the morning and into the early afternoon hours before we see a little bit of a break and then more chances of showers and storms as we head overnight. So that's all from this frontal boundary that's really stalled out. You can see that's bringing some strong storms right across Davenport, Peoria, and Champaign in Illinois, and it's starting to make its way into northwest Indiana right now, right around Lafayette and Crawfordsville, making its way into Kokomo. We are seeing some of those storms kick up. Those have some lightning. We could see some hail with these systems as well, and possibly some damaging winds, possibly some isolated tornadoes as well. Here we are, 4:30 this morning. You can see just starting to see that system move into the northwest counties this morning, and then we are going to see that spread into central Indiana as we head into the afternoon, and then we will see a bit of a break as we head into the late afternoon hours. Potential for those showers and storms to kick back up right around midnight tonight. So that's why we are under that slight risk of severe weather today. Again, damaging winds, possibly an isolated tornado, as well as that hail and also some torrential downpours and lightning, all possible with that system moving through. Today, starting in the 70s this morning, it is going to be humid out there, and then we have that potential of storms moving through. Temperatures will climb into the low 80s.
All right, thank you, Alyssa. A couple things to pay attention to. We still have some closures related to some of that storm damage that we had up in Pendleton. So southbound I-69, that exit ramp is still closed to State Road 38, as well as US 36 between Maple Street and Pendleton Avenue. So pay attention to that. No word as to when those will open back up, but we'll of course let you know. So let's take a look at the roads right now. This is up on the north side. Just before, there were 3 right lanes blocked on these eastbound lanes of I-465 right around White River. But the good news is it has since cleared up, so you're good to go as we do get into rush hour. Let's take another look at the roads. This is up towards that area in Pendleton with those ramp closures and road closures. I-69 at State Road 38. On the interstate, those moving along just fine for your morning drive.
Elena, thank you. Several communities across the state will be spending the days ahead cleaning up from Memorial Day tornadoes. The National Weather Service confirms tornadoes touched down in several Indiana counties, including in Grant County. Meteorologists say an EF2 tornado left more than 4 miles of destruction. The tornado destroyed Don Sweet's rental home, 2 barns, his sister's home, and it blew away her garage. Aside from all this damage, Don says the car inside the garage is barely damaged at all.
Yeah, it's pretty weird to see a car that didn't have a dent in it, but laying right next to our house in the garage. And the garage blew it away.
EMA officials say at least 4 homes are destroyed in Grant County. No one inside the homes were injured. The tornado outbreak that hit portions of the Hoosier State is part of a record outbreak. This week, the U.S. tied its current record of 11 consecutive days with at least 8 tornadoes per day. The last time the country saw this many consecutive days with at least 8 tornadoes was back in June of 1980. The Storm Prediction Center says they've received 934 tornado reports so far this year, and more than half of those are within the last 30 days. 38 people have been killed during tornado outbreaks so far this year. No deaths have been reported in Indiana. An arrest and road rage investigation highlighting an issue in a southwest side neighborhood. People say drivers speeding down their streets are putting lives at risk. RTV6's Graham Hunter is talking to folks who want to put something in place to prevent drivers from speeding.
Neighbors tell me when drivers come off Mills Road and start coming down Callum here, they really pick up speed. And then once they hit this stop sign, they take off. We've seen lots of families with kids walking around here in the community. And the concern is that if something doesn't change, there could be deadly consequences.
It's an everyday occurrence.
Folks living on Kellum Drive are tired of seeing it.
I've witnessed it for 23 years. It seems like it's got worse here just lately.
A lot of squealing tires coming around corners.
Cars speeding.
For Jesse Couch, it caused property damage.
I used to be able to park my work truck right there out on the street, and it was there maybe 6 months or so, and then it got sideswiped.
Fred Kellermeyer says accidents happen in front of his home all the time.
And the accidents I've seen have even ended up in my yard.
I got kids out here every day that play. My wife, she walks up and down this place.
That's a concern we heard around the neighborhood.
We've had a few people come over the curb and into our yard a few times.
This woman we met told us the last time that happened, her son was playing in the yard.
They went into the grass, and I was pretty fearful that he would be hit if he wasn't closer to the house.
The final straw came this week while they were crossing the street.
We had 2 people side by side coming down the road.
The incident would eventually be investigated by IMPD as a road rage. She filmed the interaction.
The other driver was yelling and screaming about tailgating
and tried to tell them to slow down.
Just don't drive like that. My kid plays here.
She says one of the drivers made threats to her. It's why she asked us to keep her identity private. One of the drivers was eventually arrested for disorderly conduct and driving on a suspended license. But this woman has a plan to prevent it from happening again.
Speed bumps through this area.
In order for that to happen, you have to make a request to DPW and then get 75% of your neighbors to sign on in a petition.
I'd get behind it.
I'm ready to sign.
Yeah. For more information on what it takes to get traffic calming measures like speed humps in your neighborhood, head over to theindychannel.com and click on this story. We're reporting from the south side. Graham Hunter, RTV6.
Graham, thank you. A couple accused of torturing and killing a 12-year-old boy faced charges in Monroe County. Eduardo Pozo died last Friday. The family stayed in a Bloomington hotel because his parents traveled across the country for work, advertising for a circus. Police believe the boy died of starvation. The coroner says he weighed only 55 pounds. They also think his father and stepmother restrained him with chains and used a shock collar on him. Investigators say this is one of the worst cases of abuse they have ever seen.
Before I became sheriff, I worked for 20 years, pretty much exclusively with child abuse cases, and I've worked some pretty horrendous ones, but this certainly is, it is beyond anything that I work.
Police arrested Luis Pozo and Diane Medina Flores. They are expected to appear in court on Friday.
We're learning more about a plan to convert more than 8 miles of Indianapolis Railroad tracks into a trail connecting the Circle City to Fishers and Noblesville. Indy has submitted a grant proposal to the state of Indiana detailing its exact plans. About half of the planned trail is expected to cost a total of nearly $5.5 million, with the grant footing about 65% of that. Construction on the first part of the trail is expected to start in 2021. It will connect 62nd Street to 96th Street. Eventually, the Nickel Plate Trail will go from the state fairgrounds all the way north to downtown Noblesville.
Good news for jobs in the Hoosier State. The state says Indiana's labor force grew again last month, continuing a record streak of improvement. The Indiana Department of Workforce Development says our labor force now stands at nearly 3.5 million. That counts both those who have a job and those who are actively searching for one. Year over year, more than 37,000 Hoosiers have joined the labor force since April of 2018. Indiana's unemployment rate in April stayed the same from March at 3.6%.
The Democratic contender for the 2020 presidential race won't be picked for another year. Still ahead, how the president and Joe Biden are already acting like it's a two-man race.
Plus, could flavored e-cigs lead to heart problems? We're breaking down the results of a new study straight ahead on Good Morning Indiana. Alyssa.
And the quiet weather has ended. We have showers and storms moving into central Indiana right now. I'll tell you how long those are going to last coming up.
Today, only on RTV6.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now is 4:42. Here's a look at I-465 at Michigan Road on the north side. Everything's moving along just fine. Stay tuned. I'll have your latest traffic update coming up in just a few minutes. Elena, thank you. The suspect in last month's deadly synagogue shooting in Poway, California, pleads not guilty. Prosecutors say John Ernest entered not guilty pleas to more than 100 counts he's facing. They include attempts to kill and obstruction of religious beliefs resulting in death or bodily injury, which can lead to the death penalty. Ernest is accused of opening fire at the synagogue last month, killing one woman and leaving 3 others injured. He's also a suspect in an earlier arson at a nearby mosque.
Former Vice President Joe Biden swinging back at President Trump for his attacks while overseas. Trump, on his trip to Japan, sided with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, mocking Biden's intelligence. As ABC's Mona Kosar Abdi reports, Biden's team calling Trump's remarks beneath the dignity of the office.
In a crowded pool of Democratic presidential hopefuls, President Trump has zeroed in on one potential 2020 rival, former Vice President Joe Biden.
Joe Biden was a disaster. His administration with President Obama, they were basically a disaster.
The president taking his attacks abroad, using his historic state visit to Japan as an opportunity to slam his political rival, and breaking with long-standing tradition to keep domestic disputes off foreign soil.
Kim Jong-un made a statement that Joe Biden is a low IQ individual. He probably is, based on his record.
Those remarks earning Trump criticism from both sides of the aisle. Another 2020 Democrat, Senator Kamala Harris, on MSNBC D.C., calling it irresponsible.
It is wrong, it is contrary to our values, and it is contrary to the best interest of our country.
The Biden campaign also firing back, saying the president's remarks were, quote, beneath the dignity of the office, and that Trump siding with a, quote, murderous dictator against a fellow American and former vice president speaks for itself. But in a tweet overnight, Trump says he was actually, quote, sticking up for Biden. This latest back and forth exchange comes as the Trump campaign is ratcheting up its efforts in key battleground states like Pennsylvania, where Biden grew up. At a rally there last week, President Trump told the crowd that Biden was born there, but later abandoned the state. In Houston last night, Biden set the record straight.
We moved from Scranton, notwithstanding the president saying I abandoned it, to find work. I was in third grade.
President Trump narrowly won Pennsylvania in 2016, but 2 years later, Democrats flipped 3 House seats previously held by Republicans in the 2018 midterms. Mona Kosar-Abdi, ABC News, Washington.
Struggling communities here in the U.S. will have to wait longer for federal assistance. Yesterday, a bill allowing more than $19 billion in disaster aid was blocked in the House. The money would help states affected by recent hurricanes, flooding, wildfires, and other natural disasters. Hurricane-ravaged Puerto Rico would also receive millions of dollars in aid. The Senate has already passed the bill, and President Trump says he will sign it. Lawmakers will try again to pass the bill tomorrow.
Severe storms continue to pound parts of the country. On Tuesday, tornadoes put Kansas in their crosshairs. This storm was captured on video by meteorology students near Luray. Thankfully, no damage was reported from this storm. However, residents in Lawrence, Kansas weren't so lucky. 11 people were injured when a massive tornado hit the city, home to Kansas University. A rare tornado emergency was issued for the city. The city's mayor says dozens of homes were destroyed by the storm. The mayor of Linwood, just east of Lawrence, says parts of his city were completely wiped off the map. And Alyssa, you formerly worked in this area. Unfortunately, this is not uncommon for Kansas to see this time of year.
That's right, especially this time of year. I mean, while I was there, we did a lot of storm chasing. There was quite a few tornadoes that happened while I was there as well. And, you know, they're used to it, but it's unfortunate that it does happen. And today we are under a storm threat as well. We have a Storm Team 6 alert day, and that's because we have showers and storms moving through the area. We could see some of those become strong to severe. The main threats with that are going to be damaging winds, some large hail possibly an isolated tornado in there as well, and of course some torrential downpours and lightning always possible with that system. And then we do have those storm chances continuing as we head through the day tomorrow. So right now we still have that frontal boundary just stalled out across the area. You can see that's bringing some storms right through central Illinois, in Peoria and Champaign, up into Davenport and into Chicago, and then that is starting to track into northwest Indiana right now as well. We've seen those just move through Lafayette and Crawfordsville and starting to approach Kokomo and into Noblesville. Now what we're seeing with this system, you can see there's quite a bit of abundant lightning. We also have that potential of those downpours, possibly some damaging winds in there as well. So here we are this morning, TrueCast. As we head into the morning, we're going to see that really spread into those northwest counties, and then that will track across central Indiana, moving to the southeast. As we head into the mid-morning, we'll start to see that become a little bit more spotty, and then we'll see a better chance of those showers and storms until about the 2 p.m. hour, and then we'll start to see things become a little bit more hit and miss as we head into the afternoon. More chances as we head overnight tonight as that system continues to stall out across Indiana. Temperatures today are going to only climb a little bit. We're going to be into the low 80s. It is humid outside as well as the system moves through, and then tomorrow we'll continue to see that potential of showers and storms. Today, our severe weather risk is under that slight risk. Again, the main threats are going to be some damaging winds, possibly an isolated tornado. We also have that possibility of some large hail, torrential downpours, and of course that lightning that you've already seen on the radar. Tomorrow, we're going to continue to see those potential of showers and storms, mainly in the morning, and then we'll start to see things become a little bit more spotty as we head into the afternoon, and then we'll start to see things dry out for Friday. Right now, temperatures in the 70s, 71 degrees here in Indianapolis. That humidity is at 84%. Winds are light out of the west at 3 miles per hour. As we head through the day, we're going to continue to see that potential of showers and storms. Again, some of those could become strong to severe, and temperatures temperatures will climb into the mid-80s. So it's going to be a warm and humid day with that potential of those showers and storms. That sticks with us through Thursday, and then we start to see things calm down on Friday. That's when we'll see mostly sunny skies, temperatures into the 70s, and then we're staying in the 80s for the weekend, but you can see we do have more chances of showers and storms as we kick off the weekend.
All right. Thank you, Alyssa. Here's a look at I-70 just west of FedEx. You can see those are the airport ramps over there. Everything's moving along just fine. So if you're headed for a flight today, you should be good to go if you're making your way right now. Let's take a look at the map. We still have some closures related to storm damage up in Pendleton, southbound I-69 exit ramp to State Road 38, as well as US 36 between Maple Street and Pendleton Avenue. So plan ahead if you are using one of those roads usually, so we'll let you know when they open back up for your drive. But let's take one last look at those roads. I-70 at State Road 9 over on the east side. Heading towards Hancock County, everything's moving along just fine for your morning drive.
Elena, thank you. A new study suggests that flavored e-cigarettes could lead to heart problems. Researchers say flavors can damage cells that line the blood vessels, and that poses a risk for a user's long-term heart health. The study looked at 6 e-liquids with different concentrations of nicotine. Cinnamon and menthol flavors were the most toxic. More studies are needed to prove if vaping is truly harmful, but some policymakers don't want to wait. They're trying to ban vaping flavors, arguing it's a gateway to smoking and other drugs. Vaping advocates say it's an important tool to get smokers off of regular cigarettes. Still to come, an Illinois family finds a letter dated back to World War II. Up next, we'll show you what they're doing to preserve history. Plus, extra security will be back at Noblesville West Middle School today following a social media threat. Ahead at 5 o'clock, why parents say the school shooting nearly a year ago is still fresh on students' minds. But first,
I'm Vinny Politan. Coming up today on the all-new Court TV, our continuing coverage of the trial of Kellen Winslow II. He's a former NFL star who's now accused of being a serial sex offender. Well, one of his accusers who already testified, her daughter was actually watching the trial on television, called the DA's office, and is now being called as a surprise witness by the prosecution. So Jane Doe #1's daughter scheduled to testify. Then when she finishes her testimony, prosecutors are then going to call the 4th accuser in the case. This is a woman who alleges that Kellen Winslow attacked her when they were both teenagers back in 2003 when she was 17 and he was 19. That's all coming up today on the all-new Court TV.
And don't forget, you can stream the all-new Court TV wherever you are on CourtTV.com. We'll be right back.
Furniture and mattress store, Ashley Home Store.
An Illinois family making sure they preserve an important piece of history. The family donated a letter dated 1941 to the museum at Pearl Harbor. The letter was written by Orville Lester Rusher and sent to his sister, letting her know he'd been discharged and he was waiting on his final paperwork. But Rusher never made it home. One day after the letter was received, the sailor was killed in the attack on Pearl Harbor. His body is still in the USS Arizona wreckage. A leisurely boat ride turned into a rescue mission of sorts for this group in California when they came across a baby deer stuck in the water and crying for help. As the boaters approached, the deer swam toward them. A woman on the boat carefully navigated the rocky shoreline carrying the baby deer and delivered the sweet baby to its mama, who was anxiously waiting on the shore. Wow, I've never wanted a baby deer to swim towards me more than after that. That was so adorable. And speaking of delivering a baby, a family of 5 became a family of 6 as they made their way to the hospital for what they thought would just be a routine prenatal visit. But little Jolie decided she had waited long enough, and with big brother Jaden filming from the back seat, wow, Mom, you go, girl. She came into the world in the front seat of the family car. This is one car ride that family will never forget. Did you see that? Yeah. She just pulled the baby out.
I wonder if they were like, honey, start taping.
Look
start
at that.
Taping.
Oh, wow.
They didn't even pull over.
I love the kid. Hurry up.
Oh.
All right, Alyssa, heading out the door this morning. It is very humid outside.
It is humid and warm, and we do have that potential of showers and storms again today, and we do have some of those moving through some of those northwest counties right now. We have the potential of some of those becoming strong to severe as well. We are under that slight risk today. The main threat is going to be damaging winds as well as hail, possibly an isolated tornado. 82 degrees for the high. More storms on Thursday.